The following is a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. For more information, please visit our website at dallasgenealogy.org.
Okay, this is Family Tree Maker, Dallas Genealogical Society Special Interest Group for October 2021. And today we're going to discuss maintaining your databases and how to back up and protect your data and best practices. And this is after I go through some of the cleanup stuff for maintenance. We're going to do I'm going to stop the screen share and we will do a discussion because everybody has different thoughts and processes and feelings on this subject. And all of them are valid probably, and we need to hear those so that we get different ideas from different things. All right, this is version 2019 Family Tree Maker. However, a lot of the things that are in the maintaining of your database have been around a long time. So I find it prudent that you would want to do this on a regular basis. Normally you go to the edit menu and just start going down your list, find duplicate people. It says, do you want to back this up? And if you're going to do if you think there's a lot to do, it behooves you to back it up. But you only have to back it up once, even though you're going to be doing this a bunch of different things. I'm not going to back this up. So it's going to go through and see if it matches up anybody. And the only problem with doing this kind of thing is if you have a large database, which this one's large because it's got 30,000 plus people in it, it's going to try to match any name that looks similar. And if you don't have birth or death date or any dates at all for that person, it's going to try to make them the same person. And they're not. I mean, I can't tell you how many Marys, no last name, I have in some of my databases because that's all I know about them. And when you get back really far back, it's hard to find a last name. It's hard to find dates. Or you may be pulling it from a census and you don't really have any more information. It's not in your direct line. You're not going to research it anymore. So you don't do anything with it. And this is going to take forever. But I'm going to cancel it because it's going to take too long. You can go through it. You may have hardly any at all, or you may have a whole bunch to go through. But if you do want to merge them, you have the options to go to that person. You can remove it. You can compare them and merge. If you compare and merge, it's going to have two windows that come up side by side. So you can see what both people look like and what their notes are and what their dates are and all their facts and stuff. And like I said, a lot of them will just end up being blank because you have nothing but Mary. Don't merge those because that would get you into probably a mess. The next one is manage facts. Now, a lot of us have facts that are duplicates or similar in nature. Maybe we misspelled one when we entered it and it needs to be something else. And a lot of us will have left over this. Fact 1, 2, 3, because the original Family Tree Maker had 13 fact fields that originally you couldn't rename. Eventually you could. However, and I would love to be able to delete this. But if I click delete, it is attached to one thing. And I have no idea who that's on. So I can't delete it. And I don't know what it's for. Fact two.
That's kind of useless.
Well, that's the whole point. Same thing here. They're probably all the same person. But you know, I can't delete them because I don't know what they are.
And you
Now,
can't look at the detail.
No, not here. I think that I might be able to pull some kind of report or something.
Yeah, pull a custom report, because that's what I had to do when I'm,
Yeah, you can pull custom reports and find them.
and then
Yeah.
just have the one fact one or fact two, whatever facts you want there.
And you can
And
find
just
them.
have the name and nothing else, and it'll show you.
Yeah. Anyway, here's tax roll. And some of mine I have a tax list and tax roll both. Well, those two things need to be merged. And it's like you can click on it. You also can do some editing here.
Well,
What?
I thought it just showed something about it, but I guess not. Down
This is
below.
showing you. This is showing you
Oh, an example. Okay.
what in the field and everything, an example of what it's going to read. And this is actually where you can go, and if you want to have just the date and place and no description, or if you want to have a description only. So like when I do the web, when I do let me find a web address. Well, I did the wrong thing. Hang on. Web address, property. There we go. I really only want the description for this. So that changes it on everybody. Oh. There is a way. I don't have any in there, I guess. If you want to go in and actually change the whole, if I knew what those facts were, it's easy to change them to something that's correct. Let me go. I don't. Publish does have some other things in it that you can do. Let's see, where is that? Custom report. Items to include, individuals to include. Come on, click. Well, it's not working. That normally would bring up a dialog box and ask you to fill in some stuff. Oh, let me do this. Here we go. Come on, there. Act one. There you go. We'll see if this works. Have one person. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sykes, Eugene Cancel. He was, yeah, I told you all four would be on one person. So that was his occupation. So I can come over here to options, data options. No. I can change this fact to another fact. Occupation.
I'm
Okay.
sure I need to do this on some of mine.
And it changes it for you. And then this is education. And I don't know why this had to be imported from somebody else. Yeah, from Jan's tree, from another person's tree. I just didn't get it all cleaned up. This is military. Service. Okay. And this one I am actually going to delete. So now when I go back over to that edit, manage facts, I can go here and say delete. And it's not going to question me because there's nothing attached to them.
It would drop some kind of an alert if you
That's what I'm
had
saying.
something attached.
If there was something still attached, you would get a thing
Kind
that,
of a drop down alert.
yeah. So that's facts. The biggest one that people probably need to look at is their sources. And these have to be cleaned up because I have this source and I have this one, same thing. You take the one you don't want, click replace, and click on the one you do want, and click OK. And it merges the two together. The sources and the citations that are with it, stay with it. Now, by doing that, I now have some that are not linked to do not have the actual census record on them. Because I did this pre-ancestry. I can go and pull those records and fix the citation and link them. Now this one has a media attached to it. And it has that it's the 18, it has a caption on it or a description on it being an 1810 census for Jacob Shouse. But if you look over here in the right-hand side, it gives you some web addresses, but for this source, if you double click on it, this is the file name. It's not always going to be this way. I think I went through and changed a bunch of these. If you do a merge through Family Tree Maker and their web search, you can name the file. if you just download it from a tree, you can't. It's just going to come in as whatever they have it named, and it's going to be named Garbledygook, where it's all nothing but a bunch of numbers.
So you're saying a custom name is better than,
The Garbledygook. Oh yeah. Let me see if I can find what I did with that media.
while you're doing that, can I ask a question?
Yes.
When you said you clicked on the bad source and then chose the better one, so
Mhm.
you kind of clean it up a little bit,
Yeah.
but you were saying that the pages and other related data will stay the same even though the master source name is changed?
It merges them together.
Yeah, but so if I have Betty Lou and I have the 1910 census and I have a page number and a book number and all of that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and then I have Charlie Brown and he's the same 1910 census, but I have it under a different name, but I have the different book and a different page or line number
It
or
will show
whatever.
up. That's a citation.
I know. So the citation moves with it, even though you're changing the source, correct?
Right.
Okay, so the citation stays the same.
Because you're just changing the source's title, not the default.
You're changing the master source.
Master source title is all.
And so, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I can't find that file I was wanting to show you. All right, I found the file. This is what media looks like that came down from ancestry trees. With the names. That doesn't help you very much.
Mm-mm.
That's why you don't want to use trees. There are 2,294 pieces of media that have this kind of name.
In your database?
Well, it's in one I downloaded
Yeah.
as an experiment. And it's like, who wants to rename that many pieces of media? Not me. I had enough to do in doing the cleanup before you had the option of doing a manual download and merging it and fixing the name at the time of the merge. And a lot of these pictures are my own. You know, so like this would have been somebody's name. This one would have been somebody's name and tombstone. They're my pictures. They aren't Ancestry's pictures. But yet,
But you still got gobbledygook.
and I still have Garbledygook. So that's why I do not recommend downloading from Ancestry. That makes it go away. I hate that part of it. Anyway, so you want to go through and clean up what I call your master sources. The stuff that's on the left-hand side is your master sources. Technically, you only want one of each of the items. That's what I'm saying. You could have mistyped words and they need to be merged together. In this case, I have multiple volumes here. I do have birth certificate and birth records. Those are not the same thing. Birth records are like from BMD books, that they're not the nice little certificate that we now have. There are some areas in some states and some counties that have BMD, what they call BMD books. And there's just one line that has the name of the kiddo and the date of the birth or death or whatever, and the parents' names and but it's not the typical certificate. It is a birth record. A lot of town records have birth records, but there are a lot of southern states and counties that have birth records. That's why I have two. Same thing for death certificates and death records. And this is one of my oldest databases that I have not cleaned up. I made the conscious decision to not clean it up because it was so huge. I'm starting all over from scratch and doing data entry from the beginning. I'm finding a lot of new information doing that. But at the same time, it's going to take me as much time to, it would have taken me just as much time to do both. All right. You can go through and like if you, let me see if I can find one. Yeah, here's one. Now, this person, these two are the same source. They were for two different people. And notice the image is the same name on both of them. I can take this citation and say replace the source citation. This has nothing to do with the master sources over here on the left. And I'm going to merge it or replace it with that same one if I can find it. District 1. And the thing that's bad about the way Ancestry downloaded some of this stuff, they were very repetitive in, yes, in their data. One of the things I have done because I don't care that it's a database online. I went through and did a find and replace and remove database online. I'm not going to do it on this. There's too many and it would take too long to crunch it. And then they've got the redundancy of the year. It's in the master, it's in your source. You don't need it again. So there again, I went through and did the exact string this is with all the punctuation, did a find and replace to nothing. And it deleted, took all that stuff out. This might not take too long if I just do this little bit of strip. All right. Good grief. I'm going to copy that string. Come back up here to find and replace. Stick it in find, put nothing in replace. You want to find it where it matches exactly, and this is only in OOPS sources. Do a replace all, and that should remove them all. Sometimes it's cantankerous and doesn't find anything, even though it should. So you may have to play with it to make it work, but there is a way of getting rid of all of that stuff, because when you're printing out source citations, the more stuff that you have repetitive in a source, the worse it is. I mean, the longer the citation is. You don't need to know that it's a database online. It might not have been online. I mean, I have censuses that I pulled from microfilm film years ago. There are many places you can get census records besides ancestry.com. So take that into consideration when you're going through these and looking and trying to fine tune what you're doing. You also want to manage your repositories. Like I have two for the Grapevine Library, so I want to take this one and replace it with the one that has the data, everything on it. And you can tell I have a lot of different ones, so be aware. And here's another ancestry one. So I'm going to take this one and replace it with that one. It just kind of cleans up your database to fix all this information. I'm having trouble with the pages. Then you want to go to tools. Let me close this. If you do very much, you want to come down and compact the file. Normally you would do a backup once before you compact. I'm not going to worry about it because it's not a database I'm going to do. And it will crunch for a long while because this is a big database. But anytime you do a lot of merging, you need to compact the file. Anytime you do a lot of deleting of anything, you need to compact the file. Because Family Tree Maker, for some reason, keeps that kind of stuff in its history. And when that history buffer gets filled up, you can't do anything else. It will basically stop you from doing any data entry or anything. And that's an old holdover from way back. Then you want to look at the place names. And there is a way of going in and resolving all the place names. You can do it through edit, through the places thing, resolve the place names, ignore it, change it, move it to description, whatever. I would not try to resolve all place names. It will drive you nuts. And more often than not, you really just want to merge them with something else. Everything that is a question mark has a problem with it. I can take this Baptist Hospital in Beaumont, Texas. I can right mouse click on it and go move. Wait a minute, let's see. Click resolve. And anything before a comma can be moved up. So it will move Baptist Hospital up to that upper field. And you can search for the correction for Beaumont, and it will give you that it's in Jefferson County. You click enter and it will fix it for you. You do that with cemeteries, hospitals, churches, all sorts of things, but I would not do the resolve all because, like I said, that will drive you nuts. Because like in this case, it would take forever to go through them all. And I'm going to want to move that string to where it belongs. And basically you do that because when you go, if you want to, when you export and make a JEDCOM or anything, they actually export correctly and are read right. The other kind might not be. So it will help you do so. And like this one and this one, I think are the same place. And I have to tell you, see how this one has United States after it? And this one doesn't have anything. These all came from Ancestry this way. Ancestry did not have consistent place information in their databases. So basically, I'm going to take this one and do replace with another place. Pick this one, click OK. And now I'm going to resolve that place because Family Tree Maker wants USA, not United States. And my example for how Ancestry can do things, it can have Dallas, Dallas County, Texas. It can have Dallas, Dallas County, Texas, USA, Dallas, Dallas County, Texas, United States. Or it can have Dallas, Dallas, Texas, Dallas, Dallas, Texas, USA, or Dallas, Dallas, Texas, United States. So be aware when you're downloading stuff straight from Ancestry that that's going to wind up in your database. And at some point, you will want to clean it up. Last thing is to go to your person report in the published workspace and look for data entry, data error report. I'm not going to punch this because this is a large file. I do go through the different icons and what they mean and what you can do. There are other reports to look at. Relationship reports, kinship reports, marriage and parentage. And you may want to look at the parentage and make sure that, you know, if you know of adopted kids or stepchildren or whatever, that they're labeled right. You may want to go through and make sure everybody has their biological kids attached right. You may have a bunch of people that aren't attached to their parents right, and so nothing shows up. So go through and check all that stuff. A lot of people, when they get in and looking at people and they can't see the parents of those people, it's because somehow they have either merged something or something happened, and in the relationships, they somehow get not unknown. And if they're unknown, they will not, and the preferred is unchecked. So they won't show up with their parents. They'll be just hanging out in your tree. Okay, for best practices on backing up and keeping your data safe. I'm going to stop share now, and we're going to get into a discussion about this, because backing up your data, no matter what database software you use and what media you use, is important. I have started keeping a lot of my stuff in the cloud in OneDrive, because if you have Office 365, you have a terabyte. That's a lot of space. If you keep your file up there, it automatically is there in the cloud. You can tell it to stay on your computer too. It can be in both places at all times. You don't have to worry about backing it up so much then. If you are going to do a manual backup, I recommend, because Family Tree Maker can sometimes be quirky, you need to manually back it up to your hard drive and then move it to either an external drive, or if it will fit on a flash drive, a flash drive. But you want to make sure you back up with all your media so that when you restore it, your media is intact. and the links are there. Best practices for me would be, if I had to do this, I don't need to do it because I have a system that backs up every day. But if you don't have an external system that will do auto backup for you, I would at least try to back it up once a month. You don't want to lose your work, especially if you've done a lot. If you do a whole lot in a short period of time, I would back it up just to be on the safe side, because you never know when your computer's going to crash. You don't know when the software is going to crash and corrupt your file. I had that happen. And fortunately, because I have backup every night, I only lost about 3 hours of work. And at the time, I was keeping meticulous records of what I was doing because I was doing census stuff. So I could go back and get everything that I lost. But I was lucky. I could have lost a 30,000 name tree.
And a thumb drive is not a guarantee. If you do it on a thumb drive I would do it on a secondary as well, because
I would really
I
use
lost
it.
a whole bunch of stuff that was on a drive and it's gone. The drive crashed. It didn't open. It won't open.
Flash drives have a limited life.
Mhm.
External hard drives are really better. And right now they're not all that expensive.
But it's cheap.
I
Yeah.
would go and get several, and you
Yeah.
can rotate them around. I know that for a while before my mother-in-law and father-in-law moved up here, she had 2 different external hard drives that she backed up to and rotated them in the safety deposit box at the bank. Once they got up here, that wasn't necessary because we set them up with backup stuff. The other place to do backup, which is Dropbox. You can pay for a terabyte of space. The thing that's also nice about using Dropbox, you can schedule it to do backups, but you can also share your data. I have several clients that I have their trees on my computer, and they have the access. They do this. They use the same software, and they can open that same tree on their computer. You just have to be really careful and not be in it at the same time, or you have to resolve the conflicts. But that does
not
mean
give them editing rights either.
No, I give them editing rights. That's what I'm saying. You can share it,
Share it.
both work on it at different times. But that means, like, I do a lot of the research. They're adding pictures. And I'm trying to get my work schedule where I'm only working during the work week. So on weekends, they can have at it. And
Interesting.
that seems to be working. And then every so many months, we have a Zoom meeting and have discussion on different things and go from there. I really am limiting my exposure because of my in-laws and my parents. So they're 90. So, I have to take that into consideration in everything I do. Anyway, I want to know what y'all's thoughts are on backing up and how often you think it needs to be done. Somebody speak up.
Oh, well, I'll tell you. I mean, I've used Dropbox for years for other stuff. Never had a problem. I've never tried it for this, but I have external drives, and that's what I do. That's left over from being in computers for years. I back up everything, not just this, everything, minimally monthly. And a number of times, I actually bought another small backup drive that when I feel the need, I'll back up family tree stuff, genealogy stuff on that. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I've done, that's just,
Yeah, at least once a month.
I am looking into that 365, Office 365, because it sounds like a good thing to do. But right now I'm still got my external drives. And like you say, they're cheap. They're cheap. So
And a lot of people would put them in both places. I mean, there for a while, I had my stuff in about 4 different places. And I can, if I use I used to be working on 2 different computers. I would work on one here at the house, laptop, and a different one when I went on the road or, went to the library and stuff. I could put any tree on any from OneDrive. I could say, keep on this computer, and it would be on both computers.
that's yeah.
And keep them in sync. I don't know that I would do that with a person not me. That's why Dropbox is nice in that respect, because you can share it with somebody else. The problem is in any of these things, if you don't keep it on your computer, when you go to libraries and you don't have internet access, you don't have access to your tree.
Mm.
And I actually think that's what shot Ancestry in the foot and why they wanted to get rid of Family Tree Maker the few years ago that they did. They thought everybody was going to want to do Ancestry trees. And nobody was doing computer work anymore. And I'm like going, are y'all idiots? I had just gotten home from a 2-week trip that I had such crummy internet connectivity. No way would I recommend that to anybody. If I did not have my tree on my computer, I would not have had access to it for the majority of that trip. And I was in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. It was a huge trip.
So you think Ancestry thought everybody would just do online? That's why they dropped it? What was it?
That was what was said. They felt that computers were not being used as much, so they were not going to support Family Tree Maker. And I'm like, and when they found out they were wrong, when they got 8,000 complaints in a week, because originally they said they were not going to sell it.
Well, they gave a year's notice almost, remember?
Yeah, but originally they were not going to sell it.
Oh, okay. They weren't going to sell it to anybody. I get you.
And when they had the flack, they decided they better sell it. That's when McKeeve bought it.
Right.
And I actually talked to my older sister who was, well, she worked for Lockheed Martin. After she worked for IBM in a section that got out by several things and ended up retiring from Lockheed Martin. I asked her what her feelings were about using software from somebody from that part of the world. And she looked at me and she said, well, I wouldn't give them access to it. You might use their software, but I would never upload my stuff to anything that they could see or do with. So it's like, how are you going to get technical support if you're not going to give them access to your data? You can't. So, you have to think of that caveat.
So you're referring to McKev, is that what you're saying? But they're not overseas. That was my understanding. They are here, that they set up a whole
branch
here.
Yeah, they have a branch here.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen until about 2 years after they bought it.
Yeah, it took them a while. Right.
They now have somebody or a group of people here in the US that are doing things, but
Yeah.
the development itself is over there.
But unfortunately, if you use any of the major Google and Amazon, any of that stuff, it's being accessed all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I know.
it's all going out the window.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, are there any other thoughts about backing up and keeping your research intact and safe?
Can I ask about Dropbox? So is it pretty quick? I mean, I use Dropbox a lot. I've used it for years, but I have all kinds of stuff on it that I want access to. Like if I go on a trip or I have maps or I have whatever I need, but it works pretty good for quick access, huh? I never thought about putting this on it.
And I have mine on auto, like Teresa was talking about, so that it automatically backs up. I've actually run into a problem. My problem is that I do not have enough space now on my computer to have it do an auto merge. So I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to download some stuff.
So you say, Marty, you're using, when you say you use auto, that's part of something on Dropbox?
Yeah, it'll automatically, like I have it automatically go in and pull all my pictures and my documents. And there is a file that actually says from your PC on there. So it will save documents from your PC or photos, pictures from your PC.
So
And
you,
it automatically updates.
oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. When it's syncing back into Dropbox.
Thinking, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah,
thinking,
okay, I'm with
should
you. I
have
had to
used
think a minute about how it worked. Yeah, okay. So in a sense, when you use Dropbox, at least the stuff I have on Dropbox, it's on my computer too.
Yes, exactly.
So you do have it in two places.
Mine isn't.
It isn't?
Where
The
is
stuff I'm
yours?
sharing- The stuff I'm sharing with my clients isn't. I don't have it set up that way.
It isn't what? It isn't on your PC?
No. It's in Dropbox. It's the only place it is.
Yeah, you're using it as a
Froze.
cloud only. Okay. There
But-
must be, yeah.
Yeah, there are other
Martha has
options.
gone into Never Never Land.
It's working it's easy to
You
share.
froze. Can you repeat what you were saying?
Huh?
You
Oh,
froze.
I said it's pretty easy to share with somebody else if you're going to do collaboration with, like you've got a cousin that knows a lot and has been doing a lot, and you've been manually entering all their stuff. As long as you get squared away on how you want stuff entered and y'all agree on how you're going to do it, I don't see any reason why you can't give permission to somebody else to do stuff. My problem was the few people's trees that I tried merging with my own, their format, their naming format and their place format and their source formats were not like mine. So it made a mess when I tried to merge, and you ended up spending a lot of time doing cleanup. You spend more time doing cleanup instead of doing your regular stuff. But if you get it up front, I can see siblings, if they were both working on it together, it makes it much easier to share it.
True. Yeah.
As long as you sit down and make your rules.
Your
And
formatting.
my clients aren't adding data. They're only adding photos and asking questions. Okay. Any other comments?
I've been using Backblaze and it seems to work fine. I've only had to ever restore once and it was really easy. It's a backup service you pay for, but it's not that expensive.
What was the name?
Backblaze.
Black Blaze?
Backblaze.
BACK.
Yeah.
Back Blaze. Oh.
Ruth put it in the chat. So
Yeah, I never heard of that one. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. So I will stop this record and we will end this session.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
This has been a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. If you're already a member, thank you. Your fees have been supporting these and other society activities. If you're not yet a member, please consider joining now. Go to dallasgenealogy.org and click on the membership tab.